Hate on Tokyo Ghoul all you want. I do not care what nobody says. The first half of this season was exquisitely fire. It was crazy, and I'm explain why it was. Hands down, no questions asked. This is your boy Black Uchiha 3. Alright, so Tokyo Ghoul was an anime that a lot of people were excited for. If not excited, a lot of people talked about, because Route A did get a whole lot of bashing and a whole lot of criticism. And I have a very good explanation. My channel's been out for a little over 2 months now, and I have not ever once mentioned Tokyo Ghoul. And there is a specific reason for that cause. And I'm going to give it to y'all right now. Alright. So, me being a relatively, if you would have asked me, I'm a relatively new anime watcher. I've only been watching anime for like the last 3 years, but in these past 3 years, I've watched a lot of anime. So I associate myself with those goats. And the friends that I've had, who back then, I used to always see them watch these animes, Attack on Titan, Tokyo Ghoul, Seven Deadly Sins. I used to always see them watch Naruto, even Naruto. I grew up watching Naruto, but I fell off during my beginning adolescence year, but that's besides the point. I just started watching, basically becoming an anime watcher and admitting to it, like, yes, I watch anime. 3 years ago, roughly 3 years ago, I would say senior year in high school is when I really started. And the first animes I decided to watch, I remember this very well. I chose 3 to start off, and the 3 anime I chose at the time were Akame ga Kill, which is actually my #1 favorite anime aside from any mainstream, including Naruto and Dragon Ball Z. But Akame ga Kill, Tokyo Ghoul, and Death Note. Those are the 3 animes I decided to start off with. So Tokyo Ghoul was one of the first animes I've ever watched. And season 1 was pure genius. Actually, I started watching Tokyo Ghoul before any of the animes. I watched Tokyo Ghoul, then I watched Death Note, and then I watched Akame ga Kill in that order. And Tokyo Ghoul was a very, very great anime for me to start off with. And I will tell you why. 1, the feels were all in season 1. Season 1 is a classic. It was so heart-touching. It was so heartfelt. Oh my goodness. And then I was so excited for like the possibilities to unfold in the anime. And need I remind you that this is me just starting to watch anime. So, I'm just getting into anime as I'm watching. So I get through season 1 pretty relatively quickly within the first 2 weeks. I wasn't too into binge watching. I'll probably watch an episode or 2 a night or here and there. I started watching Death Note later on and became hooked on it. But it took me about 2 weeks or so to finish season 1 of Tokyo Ghoul. And then I got shit excited. Like, it was crazy because I remember season 1 ended with Kaneki's hair turning completely white, and I'm like, yo, this nigga is going through psychological trauma right now, and this is not normal at all. But that was a fresh anime mind. Things like this happen in anime to the protagonist lots of times. Not too many times, not as harsh as it was as Kaneki. Kaneki's been through a whole lot of shit, and it's crazy. But I went through season 1. I got excited for the white hair Kaneki. I'm thinking we're gonna get like a badass anti-hero, you know what I'm saying? Which it really was, But then season 2 comes around, and boom, I see Kaneki joining Algeri, and he's just so fucking strong now, and it's ridiculous. And he has the little signature. What's 7 minus 7? It's fucking crazy. He started having controversies, dealing with not only eating human flesh, but also eating ghoul flesh. Basically, in a sense, they were building him up. This is my season 2 mindset speaking. Building him up, to hype him up versus like the owl, because the owl, they gave that whole backstory of how the owl, was just I believe they call it a kakuyaja, a ghoul who eats other ghouls. And that's basically what Kaneki was developing into, And then him and Amon had this very weird relationship, was also at the same time a very, very amazing relationship, because it's like you got 2 opposite sides. Kaneki, in technically in a sense representing both humans and ghoul side, and you got investigator Amon, who's really just trying to bring peace and humanity back to society, and he sees this ghoul who's supposed to be the ghoul. Kaneki was the first ever half ghoul, half human, and that the scene where he saw Kaneki shed tears and things like that, and he basically knew that not really like a complete extermination of the ghouls wasn't necessarily completely necessary. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that made sense, but Kaneki basically showed Amon in a sense like maybe there's probably a spark of hope, but it has to start with this guy, you know, because Kaneki didn't like eating at the time. Let me not say he doesn't like eating. The man just went nuts. He went crazy. But season 2 was a master work until I started getting more into anime. You know, I finished Tokyo Ghoul, and it came to a point where I rewatched season 2 actually 2 more times because I'm like, man, when are they gonna drop season 3, or when is this? And then that's when I had, you know, friends introduce me to this mysterious thing called manga. You know, this is, mind you, this is just 3 years ago. So I was introduced to manga, but I was like, you know what? I'm more of an action type of guy. I want to see it unfold in my eyes. I don't really want to read it and imagine it. That was really corny, you know. But that's the mindset I had at the time, and I had a buddy who was telling me like, yo, Tokyo Ghoul season 2 was trash. You know, it came up in a conversation, and I was butthurt. I was jaw dropped. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Trash? Like, my man's Kaneki goes hard. Like, how can anybody in the right mind say Tokyo Ghoul is trash? And here I'm thinking about, you know, how season 2 storyline was so great and amazing in its own, and the feels were there. The only thing I could say honestly about season 2 was like the intro was completely ass, and I did not like it at all. Coming off of season 1 intro, when they said, you know, basically, oh no, it's because season 2 of Tokyo Ghoul Route A did not follow the manga at all. Season 1 did a pretty good job, but season 2 went completely off course. And you know, at that time I took it like, oh, you just spouting bullshit. It doesn't matter. They probably just changed a few things, okay? Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Tokyo Ghoul is still Tokyo Ghoul. And need I say, boy, was I wrong. Okay, so Tokyo Ghoul comes around, and at this time, same guy, you know, he's like, well, I seen this all around. At this point, I'm hearing people saying like, you know, oh, if you're an anime only viewer when it comes to Tokyo Ghoul, you're gonna be heavily confused coming into season 3. And stating now, I heavily back that statement up heavily. Now, guys, my whole opinion about season 2 of Tokyo Ghoul is gonna shift slowly here, so just bear with me. I'm not crazy, but yo, Tokyo Ghoul, they was like, bruh, you're gonna be confused. You won't know what's going on. The way I was described, it was like, in a sense, season 3 of the anime was not necessarily picking off of where season 2 of the anime, but necessarily picking off where, you know, some manga parts left off, basically how it's actually supposed to be. Whereas versus season 2, the ending was completely ridiculous. At the time, I didn't think so. I thought it was very heart-touching and very crazy, and I was jaw-dropped. Couldn't wait for season 3. But like I said, Tokyo Ghoul came about, and I bit the bullet. And I had a friend, you know, he did spoil a lot of things for me. Just that type of guy. I still love him to death. You know, that's my bro. But even things that haven't even occurred in the anime yet, I know that will happen already with Tokyo Ghoul. Nothing too major, but I still know a few spoilers that I'm not supposed to know. And at that point, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna just read the manga. I read the first manga. I just completely read everything over. I went through season 1 and season 3 just to say I won't miss anything. And damn, I am so happy that I did not read the manga before I watched the anime, because I would have been pissed. And I understand now. I can justify your all's anger towards Tokyo Ghoul season 2. They missed out on so much, and it's just crazy. Now I understand what everybody was talking about, how it's trash. Comparing the two, yes, it's trash. If Tokyo Ghoul Route A Season 2 was a story of its own, it's a beautifully written story. Nobody can take that away from it. But the fact that Tokyo Ghoul is Tokyo Ghoul is trash because, you know, some of the things that Kaneki endured through the manga and some of the things that actually happened and he had to actually go through to get his power did not occur at all in the anime. And that's really like left me like, I was like, damn, when I was reading the manga, I'm like, I'm reading a whole nother story right now. Basically, when Tokyo Ghoul was dropping episodes week by week, that's what I was doing, guys. I was really just reading the manga, going through chapter by chapter, and I finished it, I said about like 2-3 weeks ago, and then I started watching the anime. Tokyo Ghoul anime is still getting criticism. Obviously, haters gonna hate. You just gotta learn to appreciate. But I'm a very optimistic guy, I'm sure, as most of you could tell. Tokyo Ghoul was fucking great. A lot of people hate on this nigga Heisei Sasuke. So Kaneki is opening up season 3. he has complete amnesia. He can't remember his past life. And what kind of threw me off was the fact that he knows that he had a past life and he knows that he has amnesia, but he didn't want to remember. I thought, because one of the things that did get spoiled for me before I even started watching the anime was that Kaneki was going to get amnesia. I'm thinking, okay, he just doesn't know anything about him and he wants to find out. But that obviously is not the case. And as I stop right there, I am not reading the manga for Tokyo Ghoul Re. I didn't find it necessary to read the manga and watch the anime at the same time. Maybe after the anime finishes, this 12 episode is actually just a break after dropping episode 12 this past Tuesday. Tokyo Ghoul Re will be returning, I believe, in October, or if not, just around the fall season for anime, and it's coming up with another 12 episodes, but it'll all be a part of the season 3, so it's just one long break, in total a 24 episode season, which is freaking amazing if you ask me. But anyways, these first 12 episodes of Tokyo Ghoul Re was beautiful. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what any manga reader has to say. You cannot take my opinion away from that. I'm sure they probably did miss out a few things, but from the insights I've been getting, I feel like it didn't do as too of a rough job that season 2 did. But still, man, Tokyo Ghoul Re anime was crazy. Okay, there's so much to talk about from episode 1 all the way to episode 12. So we open up, we get to see Heisei Sasaki, and need I say, that white and black hair combo, that's fire. Like, the personality is a little iffy. He's kind of more towards his original Ken Kaneki self. You know, Ken is originally, he was a nice guy, you know. He was shy, stayed to himself. He did have his problems, you know, with his mom's passing and inner issues and controversies like that. But at the end of the day, he had friends, you know, Hide was there. And he was just the guy who stuck his nose in the books. And we get to see Heisei kind of resemble that, but he also resembles, you know, Kaneki, not necessarily full-on savage mode white hair Kaneki, but more of like the Kaneki, I would say, like, who was just getting a hang of his powers. But Heisei Sasaki did. I wouldn't say he had the power of Ken Kaneki, like Ken Kaneki at peak. But there were instances in the season, like for instance when Kaneki, I'm gonna call him Kaneki. Heisei Sasaki shit is out the books, whatever. When Kaneki first faced a guy with the glasses, I forget his name. You know, it was in the beginning. I think first episode or second episode. This is what got me automatically hooked on Tokyo Ghoul Re. But and then he's like, they had to tussle for a little bit, and you know, they each gradually got more and more serious. And as we get to see these other half ghouls, you know, Shimaru, Urie, and everyone else watching their master fight, they're like, wow, okay. And when Kaneki first releases his Kagane this season, I'm just like, bruh, I'm like, this nigga could do everything. It's moments like these that you gotta learn to appreciate anime for anime and what it actually is. And it's like, in a sense, Kaneki took over his personality, and they noticed that change in him. You know, for a second though, Heisei had to get serious. You know, he was like, oh, I haven't fought in a ghoul this strong in a while. So I'm like, okay, maybe he just has to let loose a little bit, you know. And Kaneki took over. This doesn't, it happens like not too many often. It happened like once or twice throughout the entirety of the 12 episodes. But Kaneki's personality kind of took over, you know. And he was just like, he just went savage mode, and he lost control in the beginning of the season. And basically, I like this first half of the season. You know, it's really focusing on Shu and the Rose family. You know, the Aigiri tree, they're really included in the story, in the plot a lot. But I feel like, I don't feel like, I must say they have to play a much bigger role coming in these next 12 episodes. And characters that I really wanted to see interact with, you know, I love the moments that Toko were on screen, you know. That moment when Heisei first saw her, that was a very beautiful and heart-touching moment when he said, you know, there couldn't be a girl as beautiful. He didn't think there was anyone as pretty as her. And obviously everybody knows that Kaneki is Heisei. And Heisei even knows. He gradually starts to figure out as the show goes on, you know. And the thing about Tokyo Ghoul is I love how they have so many different characters whose interesting story all fall into the same plot, and it's still not in the sense where like we're just following a different, you know, show in the sense, or like they keep all the side characters interesting. Like I want to know like instances like where we were just episodes where we were just basically heavily focused on, you know, the Rose family and Shu and his issues. You know, I didn't mind that. The only big problem I had with this first 12 episodes is the absence of Kaneki. You know, this nigga is too savage. Like he's definitely gonna be, it's gonna be crazy coming in season I'm about to say season 4. It's gonna be crazy coming in these next 12 episodes, but like this man Kaneki is just like he's broken, and it's ridiculous. He's a very rare protagonist, for an anime, and I like his character a lot, and I like the trials and tribulations that he has to go through, But anyways, still, so the shoe, all of that stuff is interesting, and one of the things that really threw me off, not really threw me off, but one of the things that had me on the edge was like, I was thinking maybe Urie was going to take a very, very wrong path. I like the way they developed his character. I love the character development for Urie. His bond with Shimaru, or Shizuru, I forget. After Urie didn't have to step down, but he got removed as captain, off of Kaneki's call, and Shizuru became captain. I feel like that was a very smart move on Kaneki's part. He basically prevented a Kaneki part 2, because in a sense that's why I was really getting out of Urie, not for the fact that he has to. Kaneki wasn't too worried about status quo or his positioning and stuff like that. Urie was hell bent on rising up in the positions and being like a higher class and getting known and getting recognized for the work that he does. And it came to a point where he was eating his own flesh at one point in the season, and I'm just like thinking like, man, this guy's gonna go down a very, very wrong path if nobody does anything about it. And the one thing I can say about Heisei's character and his personality is that he knew how to interact with his students and his little family, I guess, in a sense where you could call them. Because he did save Urie. Having Urie step down as captain, he didn't have as much lenient ways. He couldn't do things as much as he wanted to, and he had to, watch how Shizuru would lead the team, and he noticed how much Shizuru actually cared for other people. And then even the other one-eyed gold, his name is slipping my head. Toro, something like that. Him showing comfort to Urie as Urie did lose control another time. All that just plays into the huge part, because when Shizuru did die, which is very sad, and I'm just still in denial about that scene, it was so crazy because his sister still has to be treated, and the whole point of him becoming an investigator was just to make enough money, and it just like everything's taken away from him. And Urie watching this unfold, and he's like, this is the first time we actually get to see and actually get to feel, because there's instances where Urie would speak, but obviously in his head there would be other words said versus how he really feel, and that was a very big problem, dealing personal issues. But we get to see for the first time Urie pour out his emotions and actually get to feel, and it's like him losing Shizuru, he's like, man, the cries and the tears, basically that's what it stated, like it's just started to get better, in a sense. I feel like Urie knew he was better off not being a captain. He didn't want to admit it. Obviously he still wants to be the best skilled ghoul investigator out there, but he knew that he was better off not being the captain. And by the way that Shizuru was leading, he led more from rather than using his teammates and his co-workers as pawns or as just pieces, basically overlooking them. Everybody was his friend, and Urie came to realize this slowly, and Shizuru's death was something that really just triggered it and snapped it all. And he couldn't believe how the investigators didn't really have much to say, obviously, because they have so much experience and they've been through this scene many of times, and for Urie, he just lost basically his closest friend in Shizuru, and he's dead, and no one really had anything to say to it about it. They were just still going on and on about the mission. And the fight between Kaneki and Ito dragged on long enough to where Kaneki was late, and his return, obviously now he's Kaneki. Urie overlooks the fact that his hair's changed. Obviously he's lost the arm. Obviously your master's coming back. This nigga's been through some shit. His arm is gone, yet Urie still tries to blame him. And I love what Kaneki said to him, but then at the same time it's like, damn, do I remember Kaneki being this savage? Automatically saying like, was I the one fighting next to him, or was it you? And I really want to see how Kaneki will go on leading this ghoul investigator team now that obviously we know his memories are back. He's here. Like Ken Kaneki will be present episode 13 of Tokyo Ghoul Re, so be ready for that. And I want to know how he will end up leading the ghoul investigation team, or if he even still is going to be a ghoul investigator. You never know, because I feel like, when his hair turned back black after his whole fight with the owl, it was just like, bruh, he still has the memories of Heisei, but now it's like he's like he still feels, he still has sympathy for everyone, including Shizuru's death. But it's like at the same time, it's like Kaneki can't forget Anteku. The bonds that were related with Anteku can. This Ghoul investigation shit can't even compare to the bonds that he had in Anteku. Not even close, And one of the things I really am excited about is the fact that, we have Toka now in Aogiri Tree. We have Hima in Aogiri Tree. I want to know what's going on. Like, what led Toka and them to join it? Do they have some type of ulterior motives? Did they just wanted to keep an eye on Kaneki in that type of way? What's going to happen when Kaneki, like, not when Kaneki's returned to his senses? We get to see. I want to know his interaction with Arima. What's Arima going to feel once he gets his memories back? For those of you guys who only watch the anime, there's obviously confusion as to basically why Kaneki looks up to Arima so much, or why they have that special bond. In the manga, we know. I've grown to know. I'm very happy the fact that I read the manga. If you haven't read the manga and you're watching this review, I suggest, even if you already watched Tokyo Ghoul, go back and read the manga. Not completely everything, but at least like 20 or so chapters, basically to get a good gist of why season 3 started off the way it did. In the manga very well explains that, and understand why Kaneki and Arima have that relationship, and it's very understandable. Arima does see the good in Kaneki despite being a ghoul, and he took that chance of Kaneki's losing his memories to say, okay, can we have half ghoul, half humans help on our side? And we know the answer now, that is yes. So like, it's not all hope lost. Like, if all ghouls are just there, not all ghouls are bad, you know what I'm saying? Kaneki's befriended full on ghouls. All of his friends are at Onteku are not half ghouls, but they have just as big as a heart as Kaneki. And I wanted to see how, maybe possibly this is just the fairy tale in me speaking, how he can just bring all of these sides together and just have everyone, compensate, compromise, and learn and love. Or, we're just still gonna have a whole lot of tragic and tragedy events unfolding. One of the things I really do want to know is basically Amon's whereabouts. He had a few mentions this season that he's dead, and it was unknown. It was an unknown death. You've been watching anime long enough to a point you should know, like, obviously Amon is gonna have some type of comeback. We see that what happened to Takizawa. This nigga turned into a crazy ass half ghoul. This nigga's ridiculously lost his mind, and I wonder why. Maybe he was just whole hell bent on being number 2 under Mado, that he just couldn't take it no more. Investigator Mado doesn't really like to talk about it. His name was brought up around her, I think, a few times in the 12 episodes. But other than that, those mysteries, with Amon, Takizawa, Kaneki's path from now on, bro. He got his fucking memories back. His hair is black now, so it's like no more white hair Kaneki. I don't know, bro. I low-key fuck with the white hair Kaneki though. Then again, you manga readers probably know a whole lot. Probably y'all do know a whole lot more than I do. So I have a whole lot to look forward to. I'm very excited. This coming fall season, Tokyo Ghoul part 2 of season 3, another 12 episode fireness. And for this next half of the season, I will do week to week reviews like I do with My Hero and like I do with Boruto, because I won't be behind on the content. I am actually fully caught up now. I will be up to date starting from episode 13. The day it drops, you guys will get a review that day. So stay tuned with your boy Black Uchiha 3. If y'all can, just answer me the question, what's 7 minus 7? Let me stop playing. But other than that, bro, Tokyo Ghoul is so fire, bro. It's hands down one of my favorite animes. I can even put it in my top 3 list, honestly. Yeah, it's definitely my top 3. I'd say it's probably number 3, my 3rd favorite anime, but Tokyo Ghoul is definitely up there without a question. And it's not even a shonen, it's a seinen. And I'm not even that into seinens, but Tokyo Ghoul is a fucking exception. It's great. It's a masterwork. The story's beautiful. Episode 12 itself was freaking fire. Kaneki's comeback was ridiculous. It was so hard. Like, it was crazy. It was amazing, and I love that. It was just like, yo, his fight with Ito was crazy, and the fact that Ito was actually the owl, that was actually not. Before I even ended, the fact that Ito is actually the owl, that was actually a surprise for me too. I did have like my suspicions, when she was interviewing, and like she's a famous author. It was like, oh, come on, we already know she has some type of evil thing to do. But the fact that she was the fucking one-eyed owl, before, yeah, somebody already told me that, but like figuring that out still was crazy. And it was like, yo, I had to read the manga to find that out, and it was very amazing. But I'm excited. Let me know what you guys think. Tokyo Ghoul Re, hands down, is nothing but fire. And it's your boy Long Face, Skinny Body, Black Uchiha 3. Holla at me. I'ma holla at y'all.